The Cherry Tree. There was a little boy named George. On his 6th birthday, his father gave him an axe. George was very happy with this present. Its blade was shiny and sharp. His father said, "An axe is not a toy, George. Always be careful when you use it." George promised to be very careful with it. One day, George went to his farm and started testing the sharpness of the axe. First, George cut a row of weeds at the edge of the cornfield. Then, he cut stalks of the corn plants. In the evening, George's mother said, "George, do good work with the axe. Tomorrow, chop some wood for the fire." George put his axe under his bed. He was very excited and couldn't wait until morning. Early next morning, George told his mother, "I'm going to chop some wood." And he ran to his father's orchard. In the orchard, George's father had planted apples, peaches, and pears that the trees gave his family. The tree that father liked best was his cherry tree. George began chopping the long, thin branches into small sticks. Then he chopped the smallest sticks into pieces. Soon, George had finished his job. Just as he was going back home to tell his mother, he saw the cherry tree. The trunk of the young cherry tree was not too thick. It wasn't full grown as the apple and pear trees were. George chopped at the cherry tree. Then George looked proudly at the fallen tree. Then he remembered how much his father liked the cherry tree. George was worried. He sat under a tree. He knew there would be no cherries. His father would be very upset. George went into the house. His father looked at George. "George," he said, "do you know who cut down my cherry tree?" George could see that his father was very angry. But he said, "I cannot tell a lie, father. I cut down your cherry tree. I wasn't careful with the axe. I'm sorry, father," wept George. He waited to hear what his punishment would be. But George's father was not angry. In fact, he took him in his arms and said, "You have been honest, son. This is more important to me than any cherry tree." George's father was proud of his son for telling the truth. "Son, remember that you must always tell the truth," George's father added. George never forgot those words. They were a lesson for life. The young boy was recognized as one of the most honest men in the world. He was George Washington, the first president of the United States.